Well, another tough one here for Nebraska. Welcome to Husker Online Postgame Live. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut. We're here at Kinnick Stadium, and we're going to put a wrap on Nebraska's 13-10 loss at the hands of Iowa. It's the fourth time in 7 years Iowa has beaten Nebraska on a walk-off field goal, 2018, 2019, 2023, and 2024. It's the second straight year the Hawkeyes have won this game 13-10. And before we delve into the game, we hope you are sitting back enjoying a Zipline beer. They are the official post-game beverage sponsor of Husker Online Postgame Live. They got their new winter release, Winter Alt. Highly recommend getting a six-pack of that, trying out their latest beer. But thank you again to Zipline, as they've been with us all season long, and they are the official post-game beverage sponsor of Husker Online Postgame Live. But Nebraska falls 13-10, guys, and it was a game that, honestly, Nebraska almost dominated every phase you could have imagined. The way they ran the ball, they dominated the rushing stats. The way their defense shut down Iowa's run game. The way their defense bottled up, got off the field on third downs, as many 3-and-outs as we've seen Nebraska force in the game all year. But again, Iowa still found ways to do Iowa things. They won in special teams. They made a couple big plays, and obviously they forced the key turnover at the end on Dylan Raiola when Nebraska was trying to set up a game-winning field goal. And instead, Drew Stevens comes out on a freezing cold night, nails a 53-yarder to take home the Heroes Trophy. Deep breath. I tried to give you a little runway there, Mr. Sipple.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this movie way too many times. It's sort of predictable. You fall into this trap, right? So Nebraska just gets up 10-0 at halftime in this weather and with an Iowa offense that is just really one-dimensional. It was a trap. It's almost like Iowa knows it has Nebraska in a trap. Iowa wins the game with 5 first downs total. Nebraska 20 first downs, Iowa 5. Iowa wins the game without a third down conversion.
Unbelievable.
0 for 10 on third down. Nebraska, I think, was 7 for. I mean, Nebraska was good. The final numbers are right there. Thank you. It is stunning. I was stunned. Now, the most important thing, we get to Rob now. Rule, I think, captured the essence of probably what fans are feeling right now, and that is anger. He said, I am more than disappointed. I am angry.
As he should be. And the reason why he and all of his players, all of his coaches, and every Nebraska fan that watched that game was because, like you said, Sip, it was so predictable.
Yeah.
You saw that one coming after Nebraska failed to really put their foot on Iowa's throat early on in that game when they were completely dominating in every phase and they were only up 10-0.
Yeah.
Like it was following the Iowa script under Kirk Ferentz to a T. That is what they want. They wanted to just muck it up, get to the fourth quarter, and wait for the other team, especially a team like Nebraska, to screw up. Well, what does Nebraska do? They screwed up multiple times. Missed opportunities, dropped touchdown passes, missed throws, bad sacks, fumbles, special team blunders. I mean, just go down the line of everything Nebraska could not afford to do against this Iowa team in this venue. They did it. And Iowa did Iowa things, and it's so maddening because it's happened so many times.
Right.
4 of the last 7 walk-off field goals, not 11 of the last 15, 14 have been one-score games. Like, you knew what this game was going to be, and yet Nebraska once again played right into Iowa's hands exactly the way the Hawkeyes hoped they would.
And they come out in the third quarter with a great drive, Nebraska, out of the locker room, the quote, middle 8 that Matt Rule talks about.
Yeah.
And they have a chance to maybe go up 17-0, but okay, you'll kick a field goal because we're talking, Robin and Sip and I are talking, hey, you take 3, you take points on Iowa because points are hard for them.
Yep.
And what happens? A bad snap. I mean,
it
skipped like a rock. And Buschini tried to salvage it. It was a missed kick, but that was the crack that just opened the whole door.
Then, you're right. That was the crack. And then 2 things happened soon after that. Nebraska somehow botched a punt return, which is sort of inexplicable that the return man, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, didn't touch the ball. It landed in front of him. Then it bounced around. Vincent Shavers probably thought it had been touched.
Yeah, he for sure thought it was touched.
And then he touched it, and now Iowa recovers, and it's 1st and goal at the 4. They get a field goal out of it.
Nebraska stops them.
Yeah, Nebraska's defense once again bows up like it had most of the night, except
for the one play.
Except the play that was coming early in the 4th quarter, and that was the 72-yard swing pass to Caleb Johnson, the wonderful running back who was held under 50 yards, I think, or 45.
Yes. Nebraska had 3 tacklers, though.
3 or 4. They had a wall. It was a
check down play that a bunch of Huskers should have ganged up and stopped at 8 yards short.
There was a veritable wall in front of him, and somehow he got through it.
Yep. He just ran through
kind of a wall, like he just bulldozed a guy, broke a couple tackles, 3 tackles, and then turned on the jet.
I don't think it was a play, Robin, that was meant to even be a big play. It was almost like a check down. If he gets it, he gets it. But we're going to punt it back to Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 2nd and 12 on the first play of the 4th quarter, and they were just looking to try to set up a manageable 3rd down. And it would have been a 3rd down if any of the 7 tacklers that missed him on that play were to be able to get him down.
I said 4 or 5.
I tend to exaggerate sometimes, but that's that's the difference. That I wrote about this a little bit is Iowa, despite all of their shortcomings offensively, their quarterback situation was absolutely atrocious. They had no passing game. They still had the best player on the field in Caleb Johnson. And Caleb Johnson made the game-changing play that none of Nebraska's players on offense or special teams certainly could make. And that was the difference. It was the big chunk yard play where everything for Nebraska is so hard. Yeah. They have to nickel and dime their way up the field to get any points. And though even those are, you can't take those for granted because sometimes they can't even get the snap off. Whereas Iowa made the big play, and it changed the game and swung all the momentum in their favor. And Nebraska was basically just playing not to lose the rest of the way.
This place, Sean, this rivalry is one-sided as it is. It's hot. It feels hot to me. Yeah. These fans don't like Nebraska.
Well, did you see what happened before the game?
Yeah.
I mean, so
tell me about it.
Well, there's police officers standing on the Hawkeye logo at midfield to make sure Nebraska couldn't do their pregame prayer at midfield, and so Nebraska had to do it at the 45. So that got things off to a weird start. But then, in the coin toss, I didn't even notice this, but Jay Higgins, the linebacker, said that Nebraska's captains refused to shake their hand at the coin toss. And it was kind of like one of those, like they went to shake Nebraska's hands and they wouldn't do it. So that set a weird tone. And then Higgins accused Rule of like walking through their warm-up drills or something like that. Like it had an odd feel. And if you go back and watch the Iowa player post game, wherever you can find it, like that clearly provided a little extra spice for Iowa's players.
It's maddening though, because they were not the better team. Nebraska,
not even close.
Like, own them. They freaking own them up front this entire game. Like, you don't win games if you play like that on offense. That's what's so frustrating.
And Nebraska's probably better defensively too.
Yes. Like they talk about, it's just crazy that, when Ferentz retires and Parker's gone, like they can't keep doing this. Like, yeah, it's great they beat Nebraska 13-10. Woohoo. But this is not like a long-term way to do it. Like, it's just, I don't know.
I struggle with that because it is effective. They won 8 again. They always win at least 7. It just depends what you want, but they're better in special teams. and I would say a lot better.
Like, how can you
be that much better? It's just amazing.
I know. Now just look at the net punting number.
Yeah.
Check it out. Iowa has a 10-yard advantage in net punting. That's inconceivable.
They had a 15 yards advantage in average starting position.
And a 50-yard advantage in return yardage.
It just kills you. It just
so hidden yardage.
Yep.
But we got a lot of super chats. We're here late at Kinnick Stadium. Before we get into super chats, Husker Online Postgame Live, again brought to you by our postgame beverage sponsor Zipline. We're also brought to you by Ellerbrock-Norris. They've been helping Nebraska business partners protect their purpose for over 120 years with risk management solutions built for local businesses. Ellerbrock-Norris partners with you on commercial insurance, group benefits, business exit planning, safety, and more. Start thinking long-term with your business and create a risk management strategy to protect it. Are your employee benefit costs going to the roof? Talk to Ellerbrock. Workplace injuries skyrocketing your workers' compensation costs? Talk to Ellerbrock. Hoping to retire in the next 10 years and sell the business to family, key employees, or even a friendly competitor? Talk to Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock-Norris is helping you protect your purpose, whether it's your business or the employees in it, your life outside of work, your future retirement goals. Head to Ellerbrock-Norris.com/HuskerOnline today to get your free risk evaluation. Yeah, there's a light switch up there.
It didn't work.
So we have had
Shut the lights off on us.
we have had the power killed in the press box here. So we are
It
now.
looks like zombies.
Yeah, well, it's a fitting mood lighting for this one.
Yes.
But let's get into it, guys, because we have a lot of super chats I want to get into. Let's go to Adam Klein. Why can't this team finish games? And please, God, fire McGuire and Satterfield and get rid of Naor. Just a kick in the nuts with this effing team. And who's the snapper for field goal? Get
Blakey.
rid of that kid.
That's like
Go buy someone. Look, yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Nebraska is probably going to go in the portal to get a long snapper.
You better.
They are going to go in the portal to get a new punter. I don't think you can go forward next year with Camden Cook as your only op. You can't. You can't. Don't even. I mean, you can't. Like, there's not enough there. This is a freaking man's punting league, and you're not just going to gamble a kid out there.
Well, I don't know what Camden Cook has. The punt snap situation. I don't want to give up on Camden Cook, Sean. Before
I'm not giving up on him, but they need somebody to compete against him.
Yeah, I'll give you that. The snapper thing had gotten better. It sort of gone away, and then of course it materializes tonight, right? Is that working for you?
No.
Of course it materializes tonight. I don't, Sean. I don't know. I think, yeah, you definitely got to probably get to some competition for the punter, but this was a snapper issue tonight.
The Naor drop, though, Robin, not a drop, but I mean, Dana Holgerson, I mean, he just draws up the play of plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a freaking
It was a touchdown.
He's running free with Jamal Banks lead blocking.
Yep. And Rule, like, he didn't sugarcoat that. He said, you got to catch that ball. Like, when you have that play and that opportunity, you got to make the play. When you're senior, you're like coveted portal receiver that is wide open, drawn up to perfection, make the play. Iowa made the play. Caleb Johnson made the play. Nebraska's players did not. And you go back to the first drive when Raiola overthrows Jalen Lloyd. That was a touchdown. He just missed him. And again, that's a tough throw in these conditions. But, again, another example of opportunities that Nebraska missed, whereas Iowa just found one way after another with each little blunder Nebraska made to win the game.
I didn't write about it, but it's interesting what's happening right now. I don't know if you guys notice it, but Rule is, and I don't necessarily disagree with him on this. He's putting it on the players more and more.
Yeah. That
he said, we told them the right things, that what they have to do, and they're not doing them. Have you noticed that, Sean? He's kind of putting it on those guys.
He did tonight, a little bit in that way. And look, I mean, Naor's getting paid a lot of money.
Yes,
they
he
paid
is.
a lot of money for some of these transfer guys.
He's not a kid.
And
Yeah,
Dana Holgerson draws up a big boy play that's going to work and turn the game and turn the game around.
It didn't
and
work.
you're making six-figure money probably. Yep. You got to make. I mean, you can't say, oh, they're student, and they're not.
No, we got to quit that. That's the interesting point about all this. I mean, some people are still going to come at you and say, Sip, they're just kids. No, Nair's not a kid. He's older than a lot of NFL rookies.
Yep.
I mean, he's a grown man. And you know what? My guess is Nair would be accountable for that and say, yeah, I got to make that catch.
All right, let's move it through. Ben has a comment. This is an underrated rivalry. Obviously, Colorado is the number one hatred, but Iowa is a close second, especially for the younger fans. I hate Iowa. The Hawkeyes are now 10-4 in the Heroes Trophy. Remember, Bo Pelini won 3 of the first 4.
This is a rough rivalry. It's gotten that way. I didn't even know all that stuff Robin said. I just heard the kicker talking smack.
Yeah.
Stevens once again talked smack. He subtle jabs like, our center snap for kicks operations better than theirs.
We don't muff punts.
He said,
why is Stevens like that? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Well, just all the Iowa kickers.
Just be a classy winner. I mean, God.
And Shawnee also was saying that Nebraska messes with his warm up, It's just
Yeah, I'm sure like Brett Maher's doing. Come on, man.
it's hot though. This rivalry has gotten hot, even though it's one-sided. It's interesting.
Yeah, one-sided off just BS plays.
Yeah.
All right, Jake. Season 2 Chasing 3 is going to be lit next year. Bowman 78. Are you effing kidding me? Yes, I think everyone's in the same boat. And I got to be on name watch tonight, guys.
Yes, you do. I'll help you.
RJ just threw up my turkey. Yeah, we had turkey again tonight in the press
dang,
box.
Rule said it. Huge missed opportunity. Just a colossal missed opportunity.
Giolopoulos come down to execution, missed throws, field goals, drop turnovers. Michael comes in once again, failing the small things killed us. We can coast on 6 wins till about January, but this is how we have expectations for more than 2025 after that. And look, this is, I didn't realize this, guys. This is the first time Nebraska's ever finished a year in its history 6-6. They've never actually had a true, think about Osborne. He always won 9.
Oh,
Yeah.
And they didn't play 12 games.
Right.
Bill Bryant shared that stat today that Nebraska has never finished a year 7-5 or 6-6.
Keep rolling.
All right, let's move it in to Randy. Last week from the stands, I watched the crowd not react when the Huskers had a bad turnover in the first quarter. We were just used to disaster. Well, we're back there again after a brief respite.
Respite.
That's a pretty fancy word for
South O. Respite. Respite. Wisconsin was a respite. Nebraska scores 44 against Wisconsin. That's 473 yards. And at times tonight, they look pretty good offensively. They ran the ball well again, right?
Yep.
They have a nice little rhythm going at running back. Didn't run it as well in the second half, though. And that hurt them.
All right, let's take another one here. Jacob, I am so tired of this.
Yeah.
We had the game and blew it. F this game and F the bowl. Hopefully we can get the worst bowl game. I'm so upset and disappointed. I'm sorry for the rant. I'll be better tomorrow. Better help is a must. Yeah. We don't have better help on the show tonight, but it'd be a great opportunity for better help to maybe buy some more advertising and get in, because this is tough. I'm sure you guys got a lot of text messages too from.
Yeah, they're ugly too.
Yeah.
And they're not. It's just ugly. God.
Because to see Iowa win when they played so bad, like to see a performance like this wasted, where you completely took the manhood away from Iowa's offensive line.
Except special teams.
Right. But
they're better in special teams.
Their vaunted running game, which led the Big Ten, was a joke. It was a joke. Nebraska shut it down.
Shredded them.
And that's what is frustrating if you're a Nebraska fan.
Frustrating.
Sorry to get a little angry there.
It's all right. I think you're representing what the rest of this fan base is feeling.
I was in that tunnel down there. I had to go away from you guys because I was just so disgusted.
And we all picked Nebraska to win. It was kind of funny. The newspaper guys all picked Iowa. And it was kind of this battle.
They won.
They won. You guys, but look, I never felt good about. I don't know. It's hard.
Well, Iowa won, but Nebraska was the better team. That's what it comes down to. But Iowa made the plays. I'm going to keep coming back to that. Iowa made the plays.
Hold on. There's a distinction you got to allow for. You guys keep saying Nebraska's the better team. They're not the better program.
Well, they were the better team today.
They're not the better program.
They play that defensive performance. Program. You win 99 times out of 100. Like, you
can't say Nebraska's a better program when they lose.
And
Dylan say better program.
Dylan has to grow. That's a big thing that has to happen, though. All right, before we keep going through Super Chats, Husker Online Postgame Live, brought to you by Bauer Underground. We're thrilled to be working with Bauer Underground again. They've been supporting local contractors and utility companies with the state of Nebraska. Bauer Underground gives 100% to ensure quality control for their customers, and they have excellent management skills to supervise each and every job they contract for. The company and its employees are accustomed to deadline pressure and construction jobs, and they take tremendous pride in meeting the deadline requirements while maintaining excellent workmanship. For more than 25 years, their reputation has been built on quality workmanship, on-time job completion, hiring and retaining high-quality personnel, utilizing the latest earth-moving techniques, and maintaining safety for their customers and employees. Learn more about them at BauerUnderground.com. or check them out. They have offices in Lincoln, Omaha, Kearney, and Norfolk. Thank you again to Bauer Underground for sponsoring Husker Online post-game live. Scott's Tots. It looked like Nebraska was going to go up 17-0. When Nebraska muffed the punt, I knew the implosion was coming.
Yep.
This loss is on the players, especially Nayor. And again, that muff punt thing. Why were the guys so deep anyway?
Yeah.
Like usually you just
Hard
kind
to
of
say.
let. Why was let Garcia Castaneda do his thing?
Well,
there?
that's what Rule said. He said that it was on Garcia Castaneda because he didn't wave off his blockers.
Right.
He went and tried to catch the punt,
Then he did.
but then at the last second decided not to and had to dive out of the way of the ball.
Now there's confusion.
Well, it's bouncing around. Iowa guys are chasing after it. Shavers is like, well, it must have been touched. And so
Right.
he goes to dive for it. And by a split second, doesn't get to the ball first. And it's just one of those plays, man. It's like those are the things that happen to Nebraska. And it seems like very few other teams have those types of just hair pulling out type of blunders that just drive you crazy.
Yeah, here's the thing though. Rule, I admire him tonight. He said that's not bad luck. You gotta just handle that situation.
I mean,
Good teams handle it.
look at the mistakes we're talking about. Veteran guys, seniors.
Right.
Like Garcia Castaneda needs to know that. Like in that game with these conditions and the way that Iowa just swarms on your punt and the hang time with that ball, just get away from it. Let it bounce. Clear it out.
When you think through it, Nebraska is definitely better offensively. It's not even really close offensively. Definitely better defensively this year. Not better on special teams, but they have a way of doing things. That's the difference. They just know what they're doing.
Yep.
Nebraska has a second-year coach. They're still finding their way. Ferentz is in his 26th season. They know exactly what they want to do. That's a huge difference.
And a lot of people think that next year could be his last year because he will become the Big Ten's winningest all-time coach next year.
So you think he'll be back next year?
It seems that
Seems
way
like it.
because
Yeah, it does.
he's going to get Alonzo Stagg, I believe, to be the winningest coach, and that's a big deal.
Oh,
I mean, I think for this program at Iowa, I mean they want that record for him, and but
it's interesting.
I just I can't imagine an outside guy coming in wanting to play this way. So like the way they play is so unique that will they keep playing like this when Ferentz is done?
Well, if they hire their special teams coach, they could. I can't say his name right now.
Phil Parker?
No.
LeVar Woods.
LeVar Woods. Yeah, he's the internal.
I've heard people suggest him as the next head coach, in which case they might play that way. Keep going, Sean.
All right. Joel Lisa Johnson, 713. I hate loving the Huskers. Soggy Muffin comes in. A true Nebraska tradition of finding a way to lose in the last seconds of the game. But why do we suffer from such hard inconsistencies every week?
I don't know.
It's the question no one knows the answer to.
This is when you get back to the football gods a little bit. I'm starting to wonder.
It's almost like punishment for all the winning Nebraska did. They're like, all right, you had it so good. We're going to punish you for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And hopefully it stops at that point.
Yeah, no kidding.
Paul Jacobson, one of our great supporters of the site and the show. Football is a cruel game, the most Iowa game ever. They looked incompetent. Booed. They got booed.
Yeah, they did get booed.
They get out
several times.
Statted. Their defense keeps them close. They pop one big play. They get one key turnover. Their special teams win the game.
Iowa football.
Paul. Good summary.
Iowa.
I didn't have to write a whole column.
Simple. You should have hired Paul tonight to write. We could have got over your
lines.
like a haiku of the game there.
Right.
With the haiku.
Nate Hazard. All the positivity they built from the past week was obviously gutted.
Oh,
I hate saying that because I do think they've made some progress.
Oh, that's got to be a debate.
They're still going to a bowl, which. There's extreme value in that.
And they were underdogs in this game. Like it or not, they were not picked to win this
3-point dogs.
3-point dogs.
Our local paper, every writer picked against Nebraska in this game.
Dogs. And now, Sean, where are we going? Where's the bowl game now?
Probably Nashville still. But I mean, it wasn't like we were probably the only people that picked Nebraska. I mean, Michael Sevier picked against Nebraska. So it's not like everybody and their mother was picking Nebraska to win this game. But when you watched it, you're like, yeah, they should have won this game.
Yeah.
Well, again, they played more than well enough to win in at least one phase and a little bit on second phase, but man, we should have just known. We should have known with the way that this series has gone, with what it's been, and how Iowa has just gutted Nebraska seemingly every single year. Like, that's probably why we should have picked Iowa,
Yeah,
because you just kind of got to expect that they're going to make those plays and Nebraska's not.
Yeah. I mean, in that regard, it was really predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It's really sort of frustrating.
All right, let's moving on to Scott. Nebraska is just bad. We've all seen this movie. 18 is trash. 54 is garbage. Dana play calling late was suspect. And he was pretty aggressive, guys, with the passing. I'm going to do something to your cable. So, Robin, you talk really fast here.
Yeah. So, again, I thought that he drew up some beautiful plays early. Those zone beaters that they were getting, those corner routes to the tight ends. I mean, they were kind of gashing them early on, but late, again, and I just wonder, like, how much of that is Nebraska just going back to this just playing not to lose mentality. Rule, like, insisted that wasn't the case, and when they got that final drive with the game tied, they were attacking. They were going to go try to score and win the game. They weren't like playing to not screw up, but it felt that way. And I just wonder how much of that it just creeps into the players' heads, with the Nayor drop. Like, I mean, that's a play that you just assume that he's going to make. But in that circumstance, like, what's happening between the ears with these players that those types of blunders are happening with veteran guys that have played so much football?
But he's not part of the problems at Nebraska of the past.
No.
He's a 1-year guy.
No.
I mean, why would that stuff affect him? I mean, I don't think it did. I just think he missed the pass. I mean, I don't know, maybe he got the lights. God only knows. I mean, I don't think that it's all. I like what Rule says about that stuff. We're not cursed. It's not bad luck. It's not the football gods. We just got to make plays. And I maybe they don't make them because they're tight, but why would Nayor be affected by the pass? He wasn't part of it. I mean, he just missed it.
I mean, Dana Holgerson drew up a great play to change the game, and you got to come up with it. Yep. Chris Diaz, Iowa plan, low scoring, flip the field, take advantage of mistakes, make the last field goal. Someone tell Nebraska for next year. But seriously, what do we need to do to change the outcome of this game? Finish drives, period.
A lot. Well, not only that, Sean, it's special teams.
Yeah. Get a functioning special teams unit.
Maybe you just don't field punts the whole game.
I know.
I mean, seriously.
No.
They'd have been better off.
You got to play like a Division
I know, but just, you know what, Iowa, you can have 9 free punts, and we're just going to give it to you.
No.
But
their
punt coverage team, it's like I said it was like a military special force unit. Like, they're running down and they're on the goal line, jumping on the ball like a grenade. I mean, it's
amazing.
It's like, what?
Give them credit. I mean, they are way better in special teams.
They know what they are. That's
Stevens just lines up and drills 2 52-yarders, one after
53
yarders, one after a timeout. Just made it easy.
I kind of have a problem that he got the practice kick, though. Like, that was far after the whistle. Like, why is that? I mean, that's a delay game penalty. Like, why are you allowed to kick a free kick?
Yeah, I don't know. But he just casually drills 52-yarders.
Like, the warm-up kick, I couldn't believe how easy he made look. And I'm like, okay, he's got to make this.
Yep.
Finish him 90. This ain't horseshoes. Fans are sick of Chase Close. 3 head coaches, 5 OCs, 5 DCs, untold millions of dollars, garbage results, apathy on the horizon in Huskerland. Look, the reality of the Big Ten right now is of the 18 teams, 12 or 13 are about like Nebraska right now. They're all about 6 or 7 wins.
Yeah.
And Nebraska is not alone in this club of 6 or 7 wins.
You watch like Minnesota win its 7th game today. Robin, you watched it. Sean, you watched it. Nebraska's every bit as good as Minnesota. Every bit as good as Minnesota. Except, okay, you just got to go back to it. Probably not as good special teams.
Nope.
Probably not, not. Those teams do have an advantage in that they have established head coaches with established ways to win. Rules getting established, but it's not there, clearly. So they do have an advantage on you. I mean, and that's an established way of doing things.
All right. Sips Margaritas stained his 5-inch inseam shorts.
What?
It's a big moment Killer losing to a linebacker at quarterback. He wasn't a linebacker, by the way. That was a misreport. Their quarterback for Iowa was a quarterback his whole career. There's another guy in their program, and that was misreported by Fox a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So he was never on the defense. That was actually a misreport. But we need to study Iowa. We'll win. We need to study Iowa's will to win and copy it because we seem to lack that will and killer instinct.
Jeez.
And I think it's a deal where Iowa's just done that so many times that when they get in that situation, they expect to win. They know that those plays are going to happen and they're going to make them and they're going to win the game. Whereas Nebraska, conversely, has lost on those plays so many times that they go into those moments fearing the worst.
It is. You're right. Iowa feels I think they feel fairly comfortable 10-0 down 10-0 at half.
Yeah.
Like I can almost imagine, and what I wrote is I could just imagine Ferentz telling his guys at halftime, hey, just keep playing. Just keep playing. They'll self-destruct. Just keep playing your game.
Yep.
Keep playing your game. Keep playing your game. Be very patient. And then it happens. I don't know that he did that, but I have this image in my head of him saying that because he could, right?
Yep.
He definitely could.
Nebraska football comes in when fifth-year players like Bullock and Benhart, and they're actually six-year players, have plays that cost your team. How can you expect to win? Bullock was run over by Caden Johnson, and Benhart got beat around the edge, which led to the fumble.
He got beat around the right edge.
I mean, it was kind of chaotic. Like we had to get down on the field.
Right.
And so we saw the end of the game.
Yeah, it's hard, but we were obstructed. I guess the guy did go around.
And Rule said that their edge blocking on both sides of the line was bad all night. Like they had a really hard time with Iowa's edge rushers. Yeah. And so that, a lot of that was Raiola, and his pocket presence was not good. Like he held the ball too long. He took some bad sacks. He just was casual with the ball. He fumbled at the end, but he also fumbled a couple other times.
He fumbled 3 times.
Yeah, they fumbled 3 times in the fourth quarter alone. They recovered 2 of them, but they lost the big one. So like, sure, they were having issues blocking, but as a quarterback, you got to help your offensive line. You can't just stand back there like a statue and not have a presence of feeling the rush around you.
Will Duncan, how many times have we seen Nebraska lose this exact same inning? Nebraska had the ball with a chance to win. They get around the 50, and then boom, interception, or punt leaving them in field goal range to kick the game winner again. And yeah, it's frustrating. There's no question.
Yeah, we haven't touched on the 2-minute offense, which again just doesn't get much done. Nebraska doesn't have much of a 2-minute offense.
It doesn't.
Tyler, the good news. Though we lost yet another game we should have won, a decade-altering win over Wisconsin plus a bowl game means we took away 2 steps. Means we took 2 steps ahead, though we took 1 step back tonight. And it would have been the ultimate finish this year.
Yeah.
To get to a bowl, to beat Colorado, to beat Wisconsin, to beat Iowa.
I started writing it, Sean.
I mean,
I started writing it. I thought it was going to happen.
It would have been the ultimate sweep.
Yeah.
For Nebraska, for where they've been.
Oh yeah, I thought it was happening. That's why. I mean,
should have happened.
Yeah, I'm still sort of dumbfounded.
Okay, let's keep it moving here. But before we do that, HuskerOnline Postgame Live brought to you by our official postgame beverage sponsor, Zipline. Hopefully you are enjoying a Zipline beverage watching HuskerOnline Postgame Live. Try their new winter release, Winter Alt. You like their Copper Alt. It's their most popular beer, one of their most popular beers. They have a special release for the winter called Winter Alt. Give that a try. We're also brought to you by Vintage Custom Homes. They are an elite home builder based in Gretna, but they build all over the state. They can go to western Nebraska all the way into western Iowa, anywhere you need a build. And they don't just do home builds at Vintage Custom Homes. They do barn dominiums, full-scale remodels, whatever that project is that you want to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a home build. Vintage Custom Homes is there for you to take care of the work. And this is high-end custom quality work. Thanks again to Vintage Custom Homes. Visit their website at vintagecustomhomesne.com. Again, that's vintagecustomhomesne.com. Thanks to Vintage Custom Homes for sponsoring Husker Online Post Game Live. Zach Lubin, again, 0 points in the second half. Raiola struggles. Same movie, loser program. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Seriously, how can we break this curse? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to keep saying it. I don't know. I can't speak for our media brethren and sisters that picked Iowa, but the one thing we probably underestimated if you pick Nebraska is just the program part. That Ferentz, they have a program and they have a way of doing things, and they get confidence off of that. And Nebraska's just still trying to build. You know, when you go through a bunch of coaches like Nebraska has, you do pay a price. They haven't gone through a bunch of coaches.
Like when
They've had
Pelini
the
was
same guy.
here, they Nebraska kind of started to embrace a way of winning,
Right? They had a way,
and it wasn't sexy enough for the administrator. His style was rub some folks the wrong way, but they won games like this under Bo Pelini. They did, and you kind of Nebraska got lucky again, but they would win those games. And they haven't won those games like that.
But you don't. But on the other hand, guys, I don't think you want to be like Iowa, do you? I mean, I don't. That's not what you aspire to be? Right?
No. I mean, that's the reason that people in Iowa, like, despite all this consistency that Iowa's had, like that's it. Like their ceiling is so low.
Yeah, it's a pretty low ceiling.
Like they're never going to compete for a national championship, and when they do, they get embarrassed on the national stage. Right. So like it's. I think that for Nebraska, I think it starts with the players. It'll always come down to the players. Like you can have the most beautiful scheme ever designed going into a game and call the perfect play at the perfect time. But if the ball goes through one of your best, quote unquote, best wide receivers' hands with the game on the line, what do you do? So, I think it starts with the portal. They got to go get some impact guys that come in with winning pedigrees. And I don't know how available those are going to be, but that's where it starts. They got to just go get some dudes right now. Like I said, Iowa had the best player on the field today. He made the biggest play of the night, and it changed the game.
What do you do with Rule? What do you do with your special teams coach?
I mean, I don't know how you can look at this and think that it's like going to work. I mean, I hate to say it, but like it's been all season. All season's been a disaster.
You're going to need to get a punter. You're going to need to get a long snapper. And I think John Hall is going to be your guy, or at least in a great position for the future. But you got to get a bona fide return game too. Like why are kickoff returns so stressful to always watch for Nebraska? Like
they could barely get it past the 20 tonight.
Like they just never set up good returns.
I mean, I'm just going to say this. Special teams got okay. They got to a point where they've been okay, right?
Yeah, and we're thinking like this is like this big progress.
They had more punts and kicks blocked this year, probably in any year we've ever seen.
It's insane.
And here's what happened. Here's what happened though. At this huge game, the failings just come back. And just
came roaring back.
Oh God, yes.
All right, let's Nico. Naor lost the game. Bonehead. Also, anyone who snapped the ball this season is an easy guy to leave off the 105 next year. Sickening. Dustin, never felt like we were going to lose this game. Big drop pass and fumble at the end killed us. We need an alpha wide receiver and should pay whatever it takes. Yep. Amen.
Agreed.
Yeah. I started feeling bad. I don't know about you guys. Really, the crowd really started getting into it when Nebraska failed on its drive to start the third quarter. I felt like the crowd could start sensing, okay, here we go. Yep. This is how you do this against Nebraska.
They've seen that movie before too, just like Nebraska.
I started having a sick feeling. Then really I got my feelings of sickness began when they botched the punt return. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
Oh, and then they held them though to a field goal, which was amazing.
10-3 though. I mean,
and you're like, okay, if they could
just one score game, and you just knew it was a setup on a tee for Iowa.
Luke Downing, who's been a super chatter all year, this team plays like they are walking on eggshells. Yep. Hope we hit the portal and get players that want to ball out like Barney. Also, time to hire new coaches at running back, wide receiver, DB, and special teams. Thanks for staying up late. Go Big Red. Look, I thought the running backs ran well tonight.
I don't agree with the running back at all.
They looked good. They got downhill. They outperformed Caleb Johnson in the running game.
Yeah, we've talked about this. We were talking about it in the press box. That Emmett Johnson's an example of development. I mean, Emmett Johnson has developed as a player. He looks really good to me.
Yeah, he was really good tonight.
They have a nice rhythm with those three guys. Ramir came back, and it's the rhythm seemed pretty seamless. And Dowdell is a great short yardage guy down near the end zone, and he's getting better as a running back. I disagree. What were the other coaches he said? The receivers
Basically
coach?
every one of them.
All of them. I mean,
Receiver, DB, and special teams. Those are the other three.
Lauer 78 heard it said on a podcast this week that Iowa probably just tells their players, will make a mistake. Just play your game and wait.
Yeah, that's what we
How do we can constantly play to that narrative? And when it's freezing cold like that, and you have to field 9 or 10 punts, I mean, that's a big moment. And
they do it,
And the wind was swirling, and
it's hard. This is a hard night. This is hard conditions. These guys are really tough, but they handle the punt returns. Come on, man.
Mr. Mitchell Jr. This was our biggest loss of the season. We had the opportunity to show that we had turned the corner, but we squandered that. There were a few high-profile recruits trending our way. I think you can kiss those goodbye. Ouch. I mean, look, I don't agree with that. I don't think recruits are going to be like, wow, that defense. No, I mean, there was a lot you can still sell to them. I mean, they're not going to be like, Nebraska lost 13-10. I'm not coming there now.
The kids will not look at it like us, right, Rob? I mean, we're older people who have seen this a lot. They're not. They haven't seen this a lot. They saw and I kind of apologize to Rob because Nebraska is definitely the better team. That's what sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe more than anything, that Nebraska has a better offense than Iowa, has probably a better defense, and better players, a better roster probably. And then they never beat Iowa.
The difference again was the play by Caleb Johnson, which Nebraska could not make on offense.
On the field, though.
Nebraska was able to make some 15 to 20 yard plays, but they could not make that kind of play.
Right.
Kodiak Bear, I'm a firm believer that going through these hard times will make the good times that much sweeter. But man, this one stinks. Wes B. Golfin, thank you very much. Phil McCracken, Ed Foley's contract expires at the end of next month.
Sean. Oh, you're doing so well.
I've meant to warn you about that
God
one.
dang it. Where's my cover here?
You're
Phil.
doing really well. It's not a heinous one. Sean.
Thanks,
it's not as bad
yeah.
as,
It's
not as bad as what one.
Phil, Ed Foley's. I'm going to do a lot of first names.
Yeah,
play it safe. Ed Foley's contract expires at the end of next month. He may be a great guy, but the extension can't be justified. Your thoughts on Ed, especially look, all the coaches actually carry an additional year. So it's not like he's not going to get, I mean, like it's more, do you want to extend him another 12 months after that? And I think obviously we know that's a big question, and the coaches aren't going to go on the road in recruiting in December. So I do think things are going to clear up pretty quickly on what the staff is going to look like or what you want to do. Or do you think they would coach the bowl game and then do everything after the bowl?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't know. I really don't.
I don't know what Matt will do. This is tough. Now he already made a move. I mean, he made one big move, obviously. You don't.
Yeah, that willingness to make an in-season coordinator change, offensive coordinator change, I think says that he's not going to be held back by anything.
Would you change two of your coordinators? Yeah, the answer is probably yes.
I mean, God, like especially we just talked about how consistently poor special teams have been, and the fact that they're just like making 30-yard field goals and extra points, like that's some like magical sign of progress. Like, no, it's not.
Right.
Like, so if there was a time to do it, and we're talking about all the luxury of these extra bowl practices, like maybe that is the time if you're going to make a move to get an additional 15 practices with a new coordinator.
Okay, this is a rough conversation.
It is
guys.
rough. It sucks.
It's rough because there's also you can talk about it, Sean. There's also some speculation about Tony White.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's always been up for jobs, but like, what's his? I mean, there are definitely some questions about what's next with coaches and some of their moves.
Okay, do you guys understand? Sometimes you got to step back a little bit from these conversations and think about what you're saying. We've established that Iowa routinely beats Nebraska because of their stability, because they have a coach in his 26th year who doesn't make many changes. And now we're talking about 3 coordinator changes at Nebraska. I mean, that stuff adds up. The revolving door, it causes this.
when Iowa
Now,
was,
you could also say, Sean, no, the revolving door solves it. There's a balance that you got to
and Iowa was forced to make a coordinator change last year, but what did that even do for like?
Yeah.
You guys know where I
Yeah.
stand on that. I mean, I think
Yeah, you're interesting because you're in the minority.
I don't think they're any different with Tim Lester versus Brian Ferentz.
I don't know.
In fact, there were years where they did a lot more on Nebraska.
Yeah.
But the quarterback situation, I mean, that is a tough spot for Lester. But Alec comes in at 2 super chats. Thank you, Alec. Go Big Ready, the TikTok voice of Nebraska. Thank you very much. Go Big Ready.
Yeah, thanks. Is he the TikTok voice in Nebraska?
He's one of the better handles. Like he does a lot of original Nebraska. He's got a big following. Does a great job with his TikToks. Andrew Warnicki. Why can't we fair catch a ball and catch a pass? Mind freaking blowing. Do they need a special coach on the sideline to keep them locked in? Shaking my head. Rhymes with laughter. I can take a loss, but not like that. Not to Iowa. Nebraska has been reburdened by what has been. Thank you very much. Jack, almost statistically impossible that we continue to lose games like this, yet here we are. This is an obvious mental problem with this program.
I mean, the fact that it just happened so many times over so many different coaches, over so many different players. Like, I don't know what the common thread is. Like, you would think, well, even it's not just against Iowa. Like, Iowa is the most glaring example, but like, I mean, the issues that we saw tonight are no different than what we've seen through many games this season. So, I mean,
and several seasons.
Yeah, several seasons. So I don't know. I mean, because it's clearly not just blame the coach or blame some players. Like the fact that this has happened over multiple staffs, over multiple tenures, like that's, I don't know. Like that's the $1 billion question right now. Like what is this curse that's plaguing Nebraska football?
I don't know, but this one's particularly hard because you guys see the reaction of the Iowa players. And this is a rivalry. I mean, it's a budding rivalry, but man, it could get a lot better if Nebraska would do its part.
Yeah.
The curse is players. Like you go back to like 10 years ago when Nebraska was winning, you had Rex Burkhead, you had Amir Abdullah, you had Randy Gregory, getting big sacks. You had Kenny
Collins.
You had Kenny Bell, catching a walk-off touch. You didn't have Drew Stevens blowing kisses. You had Kenny Bell walking it off to win the game. They just don't have,
DeMornay Pearsonell return. Okay, there you go. DeMornay Pearsonell, 2 huge returns in a game.
Or
right?
Sam Foltz makes a tackle and forces a fumble as a punter.
Yeah.
I mean, that was you had dudes making plays.
Sean.
That was the difference.
Rob, think about DeMornay Pearsonell. He had 2 long returns on this field. They got him back in the game, right? I mean, a lot of guys were making plays. Better teams.
It's not just some mental. It's dudes.
Yeah, it's probably, Sean, I always say that it's always the easy way out, but it's a lot of things. But a lot of it comes down to dudes.
Bowman 78. I don't know what's worse, me listening to this or you guys having to do this show after a game. Nebraska choke this bowl game. Well, I got tripped up at least on one name. So
a little levity there.
Bowman, appreciate it. Hey, rain or shine, the Husker Online post-game live show will be there. And it's cold, by the way.
It is cold.
Kodiak Bear. This is some universe balancing act where Nebraska loses close games and the Chiefs win them, then flip it. Please, Kansas City can go 0-17 for all I care. Yeah, the Chiefs win again.
What was the final of the Chiefs?
19-17, and the Raiders fumbled, in a key situation, and the Chiefs were able to win. Otherwise, the Raiders were going to kick a field goal to win.
But that's another example. Like the Chiefs are a franchise that has now developed the mentality that no matter what, they know they're going to win.
Yep.
And they go into these moments just expecting that somehow, some way, the ball is going to bounce their way. They're going to catch the break, and they're going to win the game. Yep. And Nebraska is the complete 180 of that.
Go Big Ready comes in with a comment. Forgot to type what sip margarita cures this sip.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about tonight.
Smoked
mezcal.
Yeah.
Will Duncan, crazy when you think of it. Iowa only needed 3 plays to win. 1 muff punt, no tackling on the long TD catch. And I don't even call that a catch, by the way. It was just kind of
you could make the case it was like a backwards pass. Maybe it should have been a run.
And a fumble Oh yeah.
and a fumble to the game-winning
yeah.
field goal. Yeah, that fumble. The fumble happened so quick. Like,
Yeah, we didn't have a good view of it either.
but there's something about Nebraska, Iowa. It never goes to overtime. The one year it did when Nebraska won here, but it just doesn't go to overtime. Like, Ferentz figures out a way to win this 13-10 and not go to overtime. Let's see. Alec Hogan should have won. Iowa has no history and no future. Okay. They got the win tonight, and their cops guarded that Hawkeye in the middle of the field with great pride.
They defended
a
her.
little obnoxious. I was a little obnoxious.
Like, why would you use the police? I mean, like, we're defending the Hawkeye.
So over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys.
And then the like Drew Stevens in the post game. Really, kicker. I mean,
Hey, when you win, you can talk your talk. That's what I say. I mean, if Nebraska doesn't like it, beat them. How about that?
yeah. No, you're right, Rob. It sucks though.
Shake their hands at coin toss.
Yeah.
Let's see.
By that. I'm surprised by that.
I'm too. I didn't see it. I got to go back and watch.
Cornhusker Corner. Got to celebrate even with an inch of progress. We are going bowling. It will be interesting to see how the roster shakes out with the new rules. Go Big Red. And I don't know, guys, on the roster stuff. Like, that stuff might not even the 105. It might be till August when that happens. Like, there's going to be kind of almost a tryout point or a point where you build it to figure out. I mean, I think we're still 8-9 months away from like being at a 105. Okay. I mean, that's just my feel right now. I don't know, but the portal is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question. Does Rule have to address those players is he got to anticipate what's going to happen right now and get rid of guys?
You have real conversations with guys and say, look, the reality is we are going to probably play some other guys, or it's going to be harder for you to have a bigger role.
And we're going to 105.
And we're going to go to 105. Yeah. And, the guys that intrigue me, like Alex Bullock said, he could come back, but are they really going to play him any more than they did this year? Or could Alex Bullock play at a smaller level and dominate or be a really good player? I mean, there's player not dominate, but be a good, a featured
Pitch 20 pass.
Be a featured player. Yeah. So like those are one because he walked it. I was surprised Elijah Judy walked it senior day.
That doesn't mean much though, right?
It's like a negotiation chip almost.
Yeah, can be.
Anna, how do we get over this mountain? Less mistakes is clearly not specific enough.
Well, there's a lot that goes into it. See, Rob, I believe that it is a complex conversation because football is inherently complex. Sean's right, dudes. But close behind is coaching. I mean, it's not that far behind. We've seen it. We've seen the impact of the offensive coordinator. That's just same guys, different coach who came in late. It's a lot of things. Then it's the mentality and how to win, establishing in your program, we're going to do this a certain way and having that way work so players understand and are confident in it. There's a lot. Football's tough. It's hard to get it all right. Mm-hmm. It's really hard.
Hey, I got
what's going on?
Somebody tweeted the handshake video.
Okay, check it out.
And
here it is,
Megan.
Here it is.
There you go.
Oh,
a little choppy, but anyway, look.
That's not a good look.
Yep. So
I don't know that that's a good look, guys.
Yeah, it's just not necessary. I mean, look.
Oh boy.
So again, you can be mad at Drew Stevens all you want. Nebraska's doing the same thing.
All right, Juan. What would it take to get LeVar Woods on the staff?
Hire Kirk Ferentz.
Hey, Bo Pelini was able to successfully get to get Rick Kaczynski to join his staff after the Heroes Trophy game.
Yeah. That's a tough look. What we just saw. I wonder what did Rule know about that?
Don't know.
Yeah, it's just not Nebraska like. I mean, Nebraska's never been like a team that does stuff like that. In their,
I don't know. That's just Rob. That kind of disappoints me.
Yep.
All right.
Now we don't know the whole story. Maybe was that a reaction to
the Hawkeye?
Maybe
Hawkeye? It might have been a reaction.
Maybe
to that.
The Cyhawk is that, or what do they call the?
I don't know.
Not the
Cyhawk's the Cyhawk. But what do they call the?
Yeah.
The Hawkeye. I think.
No, there's a name for it. I can't remember.
Hayden Fry designed it.
Now we want to be clear. That might have been that might have been a response to not being able to do their prayer on the Hawkeye and having it guarded by policemen.
I mean, you're using police officers.
Tiger Hawk. That's what it's called.
Tiger Hawk.
Tiger Hawk.
Yeah, Hayden Fry designed that, and I mean he got royalties for every time it was used.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was his design.
Ooh.
And then Bill Snyder
Nice work, Hayden.
did something similar when he went to Kansas State with the
Power
Wildcat,
Cat.
the Power Cat, and same type of idea from Hayden.
designed that.
Yeah, that was his design.
Wow.
All right, Lou comes in. I think did I avoid
Yeah,
one there?
You
Rob?
did. You did.
You got to try better, Lou. Tough loss, but I'm looking forward to seeing how our offense responds after a few more weeks of practice
That's
under
awful,
Holgerson.
by the way.
Hey, Lou, baby, not today. Not up in here.
Good job, Sean.
All right.
Sean's learning from his mistakes.
Let's
right?
before we get into the next super chat, our final sponsor is Homefield Apparel. Guess what day it is? It's Black Friday. That means Homefield Apparel has 30% off site-wide. It runs through December 3rd. Get loaded up. Get those Christmas presents for your loved ones and your friends in your life. 30% off right now, site-wide at Homefield on everything. There's no strings attached. 30% off. You got to use the promo code, though. BFCM24. BFCM24 at homefieldapparel.com. That's the Black Friday sale to get 30% off. It's the best deal you're going to get. BFCM24 is the promo code. Thanks again to Homefield. And again, thanks again to Zipline, our official post-game beverage sponsor of the Husker Online show. They've been with us all season long. Jay Swizzlestick's been with us all season long. There is no hope. F everything. Go Big Red. See you guys in Nashville. I hope it's Nashville. And I know there's some ESPN projections people have posted saying Charlotte or New York. I'm just telling you what I've heard. And I talked to Scott Dockerman as well from The Athletic, who covers the Bulls very closely as well. Before the game, he said it was Tampa or Nashville for Nebraska. So I think Minnesota is probably going to be the team that goes to Charlotte. If I had to guess, I think Michigan's going to go to New York.
Yeah, I can see
Detroit's out.
No, they're not going to. Detroit is like the 8th pick.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Nebraska is not going to fall down. It's going to go Illinois, Iowa, and then they're going to slot Nebraska, Minnesota, Michigan, and what makes the most sense.
Okay.
I mean, it's more of a slotting, and the bowl games kind of work together too.
Would would Minnesota try to make a case for itself to go to Nashville?
Possibly.
Yeah.
But
What kind of fan following would they take to Nashville?
Nashville,
Would they take much?
no. See, like Nashville, the Bulls want a full stadium. Like Michigan is going to give a good stadium crowd in New York.
Yeah, and Nebraska would give a good stadium crowd in Nashville.
Charlotte would be so-so.
Yeah. If you're Nashville, I think if it comes down to Nebraska and Minnesota, don't you take Nebraska?
Hey, Nashville's would be a good bowl. I mean, just for the fans. Like
Oh,
Nashville's
hell yeah.
fun. I mean, a lot of places to things to do, things to see, and then you're going to be faced against an SEC opponent. And I see like schools like Missouri getting projected. How about a Nebraska, Missouri in the Music City Bowl?
Yeah, how would that?
Let's go.
Those stands would be
Let's go.
pretty full, right?
I'd get fired up for that.
Well, and another reason why Charlotte is just not, I mean, we talked about this, but do you think the ownership of the Carolina Panthers and even Nebraska, that storyline's not necessary to have just
That wouldn't be good.
the
Be
Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule?
I wouldn't want it for Rule.
It'd
I
be
mean,
weird.
it just would not be a good bowl week.
I don't want that for Matt Rule.
No, and even like the small talk, it's good to be back. You can't even do that. I mean, it'd be like, no, it's not good to be back
No,
here.
I hate it here.
No, he's talked about how rough it was.
I mean, it would. I mean, I just
No.
think that alone. Let PJ Fleck get the mail bath.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
agree with you.
Ross. How? No, seriously. How does this happen every single year against Iowa, regardless of the season? These teams on this day, Nebraska is better and loses. Amen.
Oh,
Bowman, 78. 3 wide open plays. My grandpa could have made grandpa,
Either one.
uncle,
They both
aunt.
could have made it.
What the F? Alec Hogan. I will always be an inferior program. Need to win. Joey, I love this team. Grew up watching with my dad, and it makes me sad that my kids can't see what Nebraska was. Will we ever see them dominant again? Love you, Sean and Steve. and Robin.
Yeah, not me.
You really help after this. And look,
I
I don't think they're that far off, but they're that far off.
I
If
know,
that
it's
makes
kinda
sense.
weird.
It's like they went punch for punch with freaking Ohio State. Okay, like on the road in the horseshoe, they did this same type of defensive performance to Ohio State.
Yeah.
They put 44 on Wisconsin. They gave up 56 to Indiana, but they did pretty much
They
dominate.
beat
the
Colorado.
place.
Yeah.
They should have had,
Smoke
You're right.
Colorado.
Yeah, it's interesting, Sean. They are close, but nobody wants to hear it.
The UCLA won.
And they've been close for a decade. That's the problem.
Illinois
Like,
and UCLA are the two. If you're taking a program step, you got to get those two.
Yeah.
And you're at 8-4 right
Well,
there.
and I will keep saying it. A lot of this season is colored negatively by two really bad losses, and now I'm going to might add a third. By the way,
oh yeah.
because the Indiana loss 56-7 is bad. UCLA on your home field down 27-7 against a team that's not going bowling
Mhm.
is bad. And I'm going to put this in that bad
For
category.
sure. For sure.
So, Sean, the season's colored by three very bad losses. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Football is cool.
All right, New York City Husker. We suck at this thing called football.
We don't though. That's the weird thing. Like,
Oh, I think I already did that one. I'm sorry. Unless Bowman78 said the same thing 3 times. Well, he super chatted that. Thank you very much. Ross, I'm from Iowa, and all my true friends took pity on me and us after the game.
Yeah.
They could not believe it. And yeah, I've got
is that something?
family at Iowa all over here. But they're always good. I mean, it's tough. I mean, this is a hard one, and Iowa has dominated this series ever since Nebraska has gone 3-1 in this series. Iowa now has gone 7-1. I mean, they've won 7 of the last 8.
Yeah, I think it's up to 9 of the last 10.
9 of the last 10.
Yeah.
They're 10-4 in the series.
Okay, yeah.
Nebraska has won 4, and they started out 3-1.
Okay.
Luke Tessar, Kinnick Stadium is ridiculous compared to Memorial Stadium. I liked it better with the lights off. I kind of like Kinnick Stadium. I think it's a good place.
Hey, what's he mean by that? What's he
It's the
saying?
atmosphere, I
It's
think.
better than Memorial?
Yeah, this is a tough place to play
It
at
is.
night.
Oh,
Like,
it is.
I mean, they beat Ohio State here. Like, I mean, this is a
Beat Penn State here, I think.
yeah.
Tonight too.
yeah. So I mean, like, it's a different animal. And Nebraska hasn't played here at night.
No, it's rough. It's a rough place to play. It is loud. They know what they're doing.
And the crowd is right on top of you.
Yeah.
Like, you go to look at the sideline, like, fans are within 5 feet of players.
Hey guys, 10-3, 10-3, or even 10-0 when Nebraska missed that field goal. The Let's Go Hawks chant were going.
Mhm.
And it was I was like, oh boy, these people they're into it.
And this place was full darn near, like
Yeah.
in a bitterly cold night.
Sean, you hear those Let's Go Hawks?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these people are into it, baby.
Juan, Iowa, baby.
Baby.
Iowa didn't make the plays. Bullock missed the tackle.
Are we talking about the run by Caleb, the swing pass?
So
Yes.
Bullock must have been the direct man in coverage, but then he had 3 or 4 people behind him.
Yeah, he wasn't the only guy that missed the tackle.
But it should have been. I mean, Iowa wasn't even running that play to get a play like that. That's what's frustrating. I mean, they were almost running the play to help their punter.
and Rob showed us that photo. Nebraska had like a wall.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get through it?
Yep.
Scott's Tots, the real winners are whoever didn't have to listen to Colt McCoy's commentating. It is so bad. Nails on a chalkboard. Love the show, guys. Go Big Red. I saw Colt McCoy. He's a lot smaller in person than I realized.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Like, so Matt Castle was here too, and Matt Castle like towers over him.
Huh.
Do they have a 3-man booth?
I don't know. Matt, like, he was sitting in the press box, so I don't even know if he was calling the game. It's weird.
Kodiak Bear, Colt McCoy is historically a bad at calling games. It's embarrassing.
Shift our anger to Colt McCoy.
Chad Singleton, as a 23-year-old, I am told my parents today, why do you make me a Nebraska? Why'd you make me? Tampa was too good
Yeah.
to be true. Yeah, Tampa felt great, but you know, it's funny. We were in the same position in 2016. Nebraska was here, and they had to beat Iowa to go to Tampa, and then Iowa beat Nebraska and got to go to Tampa. And that was a 9-3 Nebraska team that got jumped, I believe, by an 8-4 Iowa team.
I fell into the trap tonight at 10-0 at halftime. I was thinking about Tampa.
You literally said we're going to Tampa.
Yeah.
In full disclosure,
Rob looked at me disgusted. He did. He's like, are you an idiot?
full disclosure, Michael is severe at halftime. He picked Iowa, and I just said, "You liking that Iowa pick still?" And he's like, Sean, you just jinxed it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, and then after the game, we joked about it, but
Yeah.
I jinxed it.
It's not a jinx, though. I agree with Rule. It's not a jinx. It's not witchcraft. It's not. Just don't get over the damn.
Just need guys to play better.
Yeah.
Kyle Williams, should there have been a delay of game when they kicked the field goal, when Rule called the timeout and they kicked it anyway? And I think you can make a case, yes, but there's just no way the referees are going to call that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that was possible.
Can you delay the game when a timeout has been called? I don't know.
Well, it's the player doing the free kick is what he's talking about.
I get it.
Well after the whistle. I mean, it was like he took a free stroke at it, but it didn't matter.
No.
He's Cam. How can they keep doing this to us? It should be statistically impossible to have this happen. Losing in this exact same way to what are we doing? Full potato. Special teams are a laughingstock. Receivers can't catch, and our receiver or QB is petrified to throw the ball beyond 10 yards. Zero progress, all talk, and millions in NIL dollars.
Dylan threw the ball down the field at times pretty well.
At least the stadium Wi-Fi worked under frost.
I thought Dylan threw the ball down the field a few times really well. Missed some guys on a windy night. Tough throwing. Hey, man, tough throwing conditions.
That throw to Nayor was on the money.
Yep.
Mike, stuff me. Turkish pumpkin pie is a vegetable. All right, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
$2 well spent there. Okay. Damon Gaming. Bullock was tackled by Singleton on that long run. Bullock had him locked up high. Singleton should have went for the legs, but was running wild.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I stand. Like maybe Bullock missed the tackle, and that was a big one. But again, there's multiple guys that screwed that play up.
Skurfan, usually a downer, but the accomplishment of a bowl game is too much. Close losses will not go away in the Big Ten, but the bowl drought did go away.
I still say the biggest when you're talking about a program trying to make progress, the hardest jump is going from losing close to winning close. It's the hardest jump, and that's what Nebraska's finding out.
Yep.
Will, I'm ill. Was there in person. Forgot we got to go to a bowl immediately after the loss. Nice Iowa fan reminded me. Knew this is going to happen with 8 minutes left.
Yeah, I got the sense in the stadium. A lot of fans knew exactly what was going down.
Yep.
Caden, thank you. Christopher, thank you. Alex Schaefer. Hey, Sean, first time, long time. Can we have Robin read the super chats from now on? Love the show, but just like Rule, we also need to evaluate performance. I'll hang up and listen. All jokes aside, let's pay for a long snapper. Sometimes I struggle because people's writing style, it just doesn't flow. Like
it's all right.
Sean, I'm being hard on the super chats. Okay, are you okay? I'm just gonna throw this out there. Do you have to go get a long snapper, or do you just stick with the kid and make him and have him develop?
I don't know. I mean, we're
you got to go get it.
12 games into the season. We're still.
I think you find
long snaps.
Was it Rubio? Who was the guy they had last year?
Yeah,
Ortiz.
Marco
Rubio.
Well,
Sean, it's late.
Chris Rubio is the long snapping expert.
Okay.
He's the Jamie Cole of long snappers, and that's what Robin
Ortiz.
I'll back you. We were talking about
it was
Senator
Ortiz.
Marco Rubio.
Now listen, guys. Ortiz never had a problem.
No.
Nebraska went, I'd say, 3 or 4 years without a problem, right?
Yep.
And then this year, all of the sudden,
I've never seen long snapping be more of an issue.
And that falls on Foley.
Year.
That does.
And two guys. It's not just one guy. It's multiple long snappers.
It's his call to tell them, we don't have the guys. And he believed in those guys. And, people, I mean, that's common. Coaches believe in their players. Mm-hmm. But somebody at some point didn't really recognize what was going on. And, we had more kicks. Nebraska had more kicks and punts blocked this year than any year I can ever remember, along with the rock skipping long snaps. I saw Pat Smith I saw Drew Brown last week at the Wisconsin game, and they said, Sean, the snaps that were going on early in the year, I don't care who your kicker was. You're not making those kicks.
I got it fixed, and then it materialized again. There's leaky coverage against Wisconsin last week.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was leaky coverage again tonight.
And a non-existent return game.
Yeah.
And, by the way, we haven't even mentioned Brian Buschini, 2 shank punts, 20-23.
Terrible specials tonight. Terrible.
Hey, Christopher comes in. Christopher Maui, $1,000, or not $100.
Jeez, thank you.
$100. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christopher. $1,000. We had a 500 this year, didn't we?
We did.
Zach
You thought it was
Nicky.
going to the wrong website.
That should have got more run.
Yeah, you sure you're on the right side.
Like,
You're on the right website.
that should have got more run when it did, but it did. Zach Nicky, how we managed to lose that game to a Pee-wee offense is just embarrassing. What is
5
the
first
common
downs.
denominator? The players, 3 different head coaches, similar players, same results. Again, dudes.
Yeah, not just dudes. It's a lot that goes into it. 5 first downs Iowa got for the game. 5, and they won.
Mhm.
0 for 10 on third down conversions and 1.
All right.
That's just that does. I have problems with that.
As you should.
Dre hired Bill Bush yesterday and a new wide receivers coach. This was the last game I'll go to until we win at least 8 or 9 games. I still have faith. Go Big Red.
I mean,
I don't know, like this whole like hire Bill Bush and cure the world's problems. I just don't know like why people think that's the answer.
I think that now here's the thing about the apathy. I would be more concerned about apathy if Nebraska lost this game 41-3. They played them right to the wire. I know it gets old, but I don't think there'll be apathy because Nebraska goes toe to toe with everybody.
There were a ton of Nebraska fans here.
There were.
And the Indiana game was the outlier this year. That's the one.
Right. That was the outlier. That's right.
Alex, do you think we should pay $2 to $3 million to 2 receivers, by the way, playing a drinking game for the post game? If Sipple says 100 one more time, it's trouble.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Give him one.
Hundo. I think
Does that count?
I think you have to go get a receiver or two, preferably about 6'4", that can run. It doesn't have to be 6'4". You got to go get a couple.
They're bringing in some good recruits, though, too. The guy from Kentucky, I'm now blanking on it, Jeremiah Jones. They're in it with Michael Terry. They're in it with Cortez Mills. I mean, they're going to get more Ja'Cory Barney type additions.
And there's some guys in the program. I mean, they brought Quinn Clark here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You have Keelan Smith. Those guys are good players. They got young players in the system. They had the kid that got hurt in the spring game who's really good. Who's that, Rob?
Oh,
Come on, Sean.
Demetrius
yes,
Bell.
Demetrius Bell.
Okay, now listen. I just named 3 guys that are pretty good. Those guys can play.
All right, Chris Diaz, is there a relationship between the players who have done the losing, who are still here, and the mentality Nebraska has during these types of losses?
I'm not putting this on the Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmakers of the world.
They did their job.
Yeah, not the defenses. I get it. They gave up a play, but God, they gave up. It was 10-0 at halftime. Like Rule said, with our defense, you don't give up a 10-0 lead at halftime unless you just screw it up, right?
And they did.
Yeah.
Wes B. Golfin, thank you. Jack, there simply aren't enough excuses for this result tonight.
No.
Incompetence on special teams is unacceptable.
Yep.
I'm with
It
you.
is.
I'm with you.
It is.
Christopher Maui,
Jeez.
you're back again. Are you on the correct website?
I think that's
Christopher?
Mall.
That's
an L.
it's Mal. Look, I'm thinking about Maui right now, guys. Sorry.
I'm thinking about you might need some readers.
Hey, Chris, www.HuskerOnline.com. I hope you're on that website right now.
Wow, Sean.
Nebraska Red, does the addition of Banks and Naor equal any wins this season? Did them
Banks played
taking
well today.
first team reps from younger players actually hurt us in the future?
Banks made 2 really tough catches.
Banks made catches last week.
Like you can say that them coming though probably impacted Malachi Coleman to leave the program. I mean, but was Malachi Coleman going to play this year? I don't think so.
Banks
He's hurt.
Banks seems to have benefited from Dana Holgerson's arrival.
Yeah, he's played his best football since Dana's
Right,
been here.
right.
Eddie, thank you. Andrew, for the love of all that is holy, win the bowl, go 7-6, and come
This
out
bowl
with
game is
the
massive.
sip line of beer. So he wants to create not a zip line, but the sip line.
Zip line.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Like a margarita beer.
I'd want some say in it. I'd want some say.
Yeah. Put some thought into it.
Taylor Martin.
I'd want something along the lines of like a Modelo, an Americanized Modelo.
Taylor Martin, looking forward to lunch again, Mr. Sipple. You went to lunch with Taylor.
Yes, it's Andy. I used to box with a guy named Andy Martin. Andrew, he's from Columbus. God bless him, friend. And I went to lunch with those guys out by the airport. Hello, Taylor.
I'm tired of this fire the coaches conversation. Coaches aren't dropping the passes, missing open guys, or the tackles.
That's interesting, isn't it? I find it fascinating, and I do not disagree with Rule on this. He's not absolving himself or his staff, but he is saying these guys have to make those plays, and they can't give up a guy coming around the edge, and the quarterback's got to hang on to the ball. That's not really coaching, right?
In some areas, I mean, not being able to have a return game or cover
That's
kicks
coaching.
or field a long snapper.
It's coaching.
I mean,
coaching.
there are areas where you can blame coaching.
Westby Golfing, will anybody opt out of the bowl game? What is our biggest need on the offense for next year? Ty Robinson talked after the game, and he wants to play in this bowl game. That was my impression with his comments. There really aren't any players on this team that are in a draftable position, in my opinion.
Well, Ty Robinson.
Him. After that, who else?
I'd say Nash might be.
Opt out of the bowl game?
No, not opt out.
I'm saying because they're too
right. Because they're real high.
I don't think there's a single player on the roster that's in that position.
Okay. Now
Tommy Hill would have been at one point. Then he
not
obviously is not.
then he gave up 11 completions.
I would be
and 13
stunned
targets.
if someone of note opted out of this bowl game.
Okay, now answer that second question. That's a good one. What are the needs on offense? I'd say it starts at receiver.
Tackle.
Veteran receivers. Okay, yeah, you go to I totally agree. Then you go to tackle. And then what? Not
I at one point I thought running back, but I feel like they have enough now.
I'm going no-go on running back.
That
I think
1-2
you're okay.
punches of Dowdell and Emmett is good.
And
I like
Jamarian
that.
Parker comes in. Now Emmett or Gabe Irvin, I could see him moving on.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he's going to stick around. I mean, that's just my
No, I think you're right.
and that's his call, but it just doesn't seem like it would make sense for him if he wants to play.
And now listen, staying with the conversation, I'd say another big too, another offensive lineman other than a tackle. You and even an interior guy you might need.
Tackle Farms. What was not allowed? That was not allowed crowd tonight. I was shocked how the crowd wasn't really into it until the end.
Ooh, I thought it was into it.
I wonder if he was here or if he's just going off the TV.
What do you think, Rob?
I wouldn't give them a lot to cheer about. I think that had something to do with it. Their offense was really bad. And I think the boos were loud. I know that.
I thought the crowd got going early in the second half.
Yeah. And then once the tide started to shift a little bit, they got into it.
Jake A. Hey, Robin, I love you, babe. Not in the woods.
He's the one that mistakenly apparently left me out on the praise.
Babe.
Thanks,
Sipple
Jake.
is the babe in the woods, by the way. That's all part of the charm.
Love you too, Jake. Love you too.
Eddie, thank you. Colby, Nebraska's position advantage, QB, running back, wide receiver, O-line, tight end, D-line, linebacker, secondary, Iowa position advantage, the long snapper. I'd say the kicker,
Punter.
the punter, and their kick returning advantage was significant tonight. And then our last super chat as of now is from Joshua. I've been defending this team all year, talk so much crap at 5-1. When's it going to end? I am so tired of these Iowa games. Yeah. I did book my hotel room in Nashville, so let's go bowling, baby.
Good job.
All right. Yeah, we're going to find out. We won't know the bowl until next Sunday. Sunday. Not this week, but next week. And the reasoning is you have to let the playoff selections happen because like there's always scenarios where like
It's more games. too.
Indiana could get kicked out of the play. I mean, it's not
Ohio State could go down, then that affects everything.
so there's a lot of those scenarios that change up the Bulls.
Right.
But what you want is the Big Ten to get 4 teams in, and then I think that gets
the playoff.
Nebraska to Nashville.
Okay.
We've kind of said Michigan's probably New York, Minnesota probably Charlotte, Iowa, Tampa, Illinois, Orlando.
You're playing for Tampa tonight.
So we'll see. Now, New Michigan State, Rutgers. If Rutgers were to get to 7 wins, I don't know where they would go. You know, Minnesota.
They swoop in and steal Nashville. No.
No, I would say
They'll travel.
Minnesota and Rutgers would be the teams that would switch between the Phoenix and the Charlotte
Okay.
games. Like those make sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Detroit would be the last one.
Yeah.
In the grouping at that
Michigan
point.
State might be Detroit bound.
Right. They won't send Michigan to Detroit. Like the Pinstripe Bowl really wants Michigan too, because they know they'll never get them again.
And the alums in the city of New York there's tons of them, right?
More living alumni in New York City than all of the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
all right. Oh, one final one from Alex. Did you guys see Michael Terry wearing his Nebraska gloves tonight? Does this change his recruitment? Lastly, can we get Sipple some merch? Walmart only has so many orange polos. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah. I haven't worn the orange polo in a while. It's the weather's turned.
A little chilly, but
Yeah.
gentlemen, fun year of post-game lives. We'll have one more at the bowl site.
Yes, we're going to a bowl game. That's
But
good.
this has been fun. It's 107. But
Got late, snuck up on me.
had a good year of doing these, and we'll be back in regular shows next week, and obviously one more post-game live for the bowl game. But for Robin Washett, Steve Sipple, our producer Megan back in Omaha, I'm Sean Callahan signing off for Husker Online post-game live.